The observation, identification, description, experimental investigation, and theoretical explanation of natural phenomena.
Try saying that 5 times real fast with a mouthful of crackers. Who can tell us more about science?
J. Walter WALABEAR.
Well, hi there. Once again, you caught me working on something big. But seeing that I sleep in a matchbox, everything seems big. Anyway, I'm glad you're here, because today I want to talk to you about science. In fact, without studying science, some of the greatest events in history might never have happened. Take the space program, for example. Thanks to a lot of smart people who devoted their life to studying certain types of science, man actually traveled through space and eventually walked on the moon. But without science, we'd just be sitting around on Earth looking up at the sky, much less traveling through it. And that doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. So take it from old J. Walter WALABEAR. When you study science, reach for the stars, keep plugging, and above all, think big.
We're back and we're learning about science.
Yes, and why don't we dive into some more science with Jenny Cook at the Dauphin Island Sea Lab.
Good morning. Thanks, Counselor Carl. Chris and I were just loading up a bunch of gear, and I was telling him a story about how I became a scientist, and even when I was a little girl, and had all the characteristic traits right there in my personality. Didn't even know it, but I had everything that it takes to be a scientist. I was very curious, very observant, and I was telling him one of the very first memories that I have of actually going out and being very curious about the environment around me. We're out here at a tidal pool, and I'm going to take you out there and tell you the story along with Chris. See, Chris, you never really imagined that this is what it'd be like to be a scientist, did you? No, I didn't. See, when I was your age, I never thought that I could really have a job where they'd pay me money to get out and get in the water and get muddy and dirty and catch fish. Chris, when I was a little girl, I went out fishing one day out in the bay with my family, and they were all out fishing in the bay, and I noticed this little tiny pool of water just off the beach. Didn't look very deep. It was really shallow, and I had an old cane fishing pole just like this one. I had a piece of shrimp hooked onto my bait, a piece of bait hooked on my hook. I threw it out in the water, and I waited there and waited there and waited, and I felt something just pulling on my fishing pole like that. And I pulled it up, and there was nothing left on my hook. I did that over and over again, and I was just so curious about what was in this tidal pool. I was convinced there was a shark that was down in this little tidal pool eating all of my bait. You see, even when I was a little girl, if somebody came up to me and said, "Do you want to be a scientist?" I probably would have said, "Well, no, I don't think so." But actually, a scientist is a person who's very curious about the environment around them. They're very curious, very observant, and they ask a lot of questions. I was very curious that day, and I was really wanting to find out what was in that tidal pool eating my bait. One of the pieces of equipment that we can use to find out what actually lives out in this tidal pool is this net right here. Right up here on the top, you'll see that it has floats. This piece of equipment is called a seining net. You'll see that it has floats. These floats actually help keep the net up on the surface of the water, and on the bottom there are lead weights which help keep it down on the bottom. And a lot of the animals that we would want to catch are going to be things that live on the bottom. So what we want to do is we want to unroll this net all the way. And when we do that, when we begin to pull the net, we want to make sure that the poles are down on the bottom. As we start to move around in this particular tidal pool, this tidal pool is right on the edge of a salt marsh, it's going to be very muddy and the bottom's going to be very soft. You won't have to take the pole and actually shove it down into the mud. You can just feel the pole touching the bottom. And as we move along, you'll want to take the bottom of your pole and point it in the direction that you're moving. Now that we have the net unrolled, we want to move along. You want to put your pole and point it like this. We're going to move in this direction, and we're just going to make a sweep through this tidal pool and come right back up here on this shore's edge. Keep on, there you go. Ooh, we got some things. Come on up, Chris. Come on up. We sure did. Just keep one of everything that we've caught. That we've already got a silver side.
There's a little shrimp.
Okay, grab that shrimp. Grab him. No, he can't bite you. He doesn't have teeth. There you go. Oh, look, we got a pretty one.
What is this?
Campers, this is a pinfish. If you look at that top fin right here, that's called a dorsal fin. These tall pins look like pins. They're called spines. They're really sharp, and that's what reminds me that this is called a pinfish. This fish is a little sheep's head fish. It's called a sheep's head minnow. Well, a hardy little fish that you commonly find in tidal pools just like this. Notice how small that mouth is, little tiny mouth. Let me ask you a question, all you scientists out there. Do you think that a little tiny mouth like this could have bitten that big hook that I threw in the tidal pool? No, absolutely not. So do you think this little sheep's head minnow was eating my bait when I was a little girl? I doubt it. Let me show you another critter that we caught out here, called brown shrimp. These small shrimp move into our bay when they're younger. And if you look at its mouth, you can tell certainly it's not the type of animal that would actually bite a hook. As a matter of fact, that's the animal that we put on the hook and use for bait. So we definitely know that that was not eating our bait. This is a small blue crab. Actually, they can get at least 2 or 3 times bigger than this. Look at those sharp claws. Did we catch a shark? No, we did not catch a shark. I have been to these tidal pools many, many times with a net just like this, a seining net. I have never, ever caught a shark. So, if you think about the hypothesis that I had when I was a little girl, when I was thinking, oh, there's a shark in the tidal pool that's eating up my bait, I really don't think now that there really was a shark there. I think it was one of these blue crabs that was sitting there just munching down, getting a free lunch off of my bait. And that's what I think the answer to the question is. Well, Chris and I will join you back here in just a few minutes back in Discovery Hall.
Ding dong.
When did we get a doorbell?
Ding dong.
Who's there?
Let us.
Let us who?
Let us dance.
Who's gonna leave?
Hi, welcome back. We're here in Discovery Hall with Chris. This is Chris.
What are these?
These are the jaws of a sand tiger shark. One of the characteristics of a sand tiger shark is that they have very jagged teeth. You want to take a look at some of the other things that we have here in Discovery Hall?
What it is right here?
This skeleton is a partial skeleton of a bottlenose dolphin. Let me move these jars so you can actually see the snout better. One of the characteristics of a dolphin, remember it is a mammal, it's not a fish. They breathe air, they give birth to live young, they nurse their young. One of the characteristics of a dolphin is that they have a long snout, which you can see right here. They also have very sharp cone-shaped teeth. Definitely a vertebrate. You can see the vertebrae which make up its spinal column right back here. Come on around, let me show you some other things that we have here. Okay. One of the animals that we see from time to time around here is the horseshoe crab. This is a small one right here, and this is what we call the molt. It's the outer shell, and actually the animal's not even in here. To grow larger, that animal actually has to crawl right outside of its shell, and all that it leaves is just an empty shell. And when it's soft, then it will absorb water and stretch out that shell, and that's how that animal grows much, much larger. This is a piece of one of the larger horseshoe crabs. Actually, we call them a crab, but they're a whole lot more like a spider. If you flip it over, you can see that it really looks a whole lot more like a spider, doesn't it, than it really does a crab. And if you look at the eyes, they actually have compound eyes, many, many small eyes all together making one eye, very much like that of a spider or an insect.
What is this? Is this a fish?
Ah, yes. It doesn't really look like a fish, but it really is. This is one of the blowfishes. There are many different types of blowfishes. This is one of them that we call a porcupine blowfish. You can definitely see how it got its name, can't you? Definitely blows up. And obviously this is for defense. It doesn't always swim around big and round and inflated like this. It would be pretty awkward. Yes. When it deflates, okay, when it releases the water that it's taken into its body, it will become smaller than this. It's never really skinny or very slim, but it is a very slow-swimming fish, and this is really important in protecting this animal from being eaten. Okay.
What is this in this jar right here?
Ah, good question. These are what we call gooseneck barnacles. You know, barnacles are very common. If you look at this shell right here, you go out to the beach and you pick up a shell. Barnacles are one of the common invertebrates that grow on other things. They have really kind of a magic super glue where they actually glue themselves down. The gooseneck barnacle is one that really lives offshore, and this buoy washed into the beach, and it must have been floating around offshore for the gooseneck barnacles to actually attach. So let's see if we can find a good one in here. Oh, there's a great one. See it hanging out right there?
Are these some kind of plants or something?
No, they're animals. Good question. What you see that look like these little finger-like filaments hanging out, these are actually the toes. They sit inside the shell upside down, and they actually feed with their toes. They comb through the water with their toes, and then I guess they just go and lick all that stuff right off. Well, if you'd like to learn more about some of the animals and things that we have here in Discovery Hall, definitely have your teacher give us a call, and we'd love to have you come and visit us.
And we're back, and of course we're still talking about science. And Happy Camper Kimberly, you know what the Coriolis effect is?
No way, Jose.
Well, neither do I. What about you, Happy Camper Dara?
Doesn't it have something to do with the way water goes down the drain?
Well, it could, and maybe we could find out more with meteorologist Steve Bray's World o' Science.
As the water goes down, you can see it spin counterclockwise. But in the southern hemisphere, it would spin clockwise. Why this change? It all has to do with the Coriolis effect, and the best place to demonstrate this force is on the playground. We need a rotating world. For our purposes, a merry-go-round will do. We start by spinning counterclockwise, then rolling my Wrigley Field souvenir. Notice that every time the ball takes a turn or deflects to the right.
The reason why the ball deflects to the right is the same reason why the wind deflects to the right in the northern hemisphere. If you look at the Earth in its rotation, it's spinning counterclockwise as far as the northern hemisphere is concerned. But turn that around to the South Pole and you rotate the Earth, it's spinning clockwise. So now we need to turn the merry-go-round clockwise, and we'll see what happens.
Notice now that whenever we roll the ball, it turns or deflects to the left. How does this change things? Let's look at a low pressure system. In the northern hemisphere, deflection to the right causes a counterclockwise rotation as the winds move towards center. In the southern hemisphere, deflection to the left causes a clockwise rotation.
Let's go to the picnic area and learn more about science.
Muchas gracias, Happy Camper Chris. We're over here at Picnic Park with Miss Renee, the science lady, who's got a real live science experiment for us.
Hi, Counselor Carl. It's great to be here today.
Well, we're glad to have you, and what exactly do you have for us?
Well, we have solid, which is household baking soda. We have a liquid, which is vinegar, and we're going to make a gas. We're going to have a chemical reaction. We'll blow up a balloon. The gas will be carbon dioxide.
Wow, sounds way swell. Why don't we get started?
All right. Well, I have some safety glasses that I want you to wear today.
Now, are these officially licensed
Official
science safety
safety glasses.
This is great.
They look great on.
Okay.
All right, we've got vinegar already in this soda bottle. We're going to need to add some vinegar and ask Melody to fill it up.
Okay, so these are just regular old household items, like this is just plain
Household
old white
items.
vinegar that you could probably
That's
put in a salad, right? Great.
All right.
Take care of that.
We have some straws with a spoon at the end. I'm going to ask Luna and Melody to each put about 3.5 spoonfuls of baking soda in their balloon.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and so this is just plain old baking soda,
Plain old baking soda, plain old vinegar.
and the kind that keeps ice cubes from tasting funny.
All the campers can do it at home.
But it'd probably be best to get mom and dad.
Always mom and dad around.
Yeah, because you never know what could happen. I bet you, Dad may have some official science safety glasses just like this out in the workshop. There's power to this.
All right, now if we'll take the balloon, and remember we have the solid in the balloon, we have the liquid in the soda bottles. We're going to fit the balloon over the mouth of each bottle. You want to make sure that there's no air escaping.
Okay.
All right. Then we're going to take the balloon, we're going to hold it up, and we'll get a chemical reaction. The carbon dioxide is the gas that's given off, and we'll see the balloon blow up. Let's go.
Let her rip.
And there she goes.
Whoa! Look at that. That's
We have a
amazing.
big reaction
Whoa,
here.
Whoa! The good thing we have the official science safety glasses here. I'd hate for something like that to happen. Does insurance cover this?
I did have one blow up on me at school in front of 31 kids.
I bet you they really enjoyed that.
They enjoyed that.
And there was a quiz afterwards.
They done.
Well, that's really amazing. And so this is what? Okay, well, that's great. So this is something you could try at home in the kitchen?
In the kitchen.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Renee, the science lady. We really enjoyed having you here.
Great to be here.
And speaking of kitchens, let's see what's cooking with Chef Pierre.
Hello, I am Chef Pierre, and this is my kitchen. Beautiful, no? Actually, it is not my regular kitchen where I cook food. It is my test kitchen. And what better things to do in a test kitchen than experiments to learn things? And today, we're going to do a very, very fascinating science experiment right here in my test kitchen. In fact, we're going to talk all about matter today. You know what matter is? Of course you do. Matter is everything that comprises our entire world. And matter comes in 3 different states. They are solids, liquids, and gases. Now today, the experiment that we are going to do, we are going to take one form of matter, a solid, turn it into a liquid, and then a gas. I can tell you, I am so excited, I can barely contain myself. Well, what do we have that is a solid, and then we turn it into a liquid, and then a gas? What else? Voila! Ice cubes. Now, we take these solid ice cubes, and we drop them on the hot plate. You see, because of the heat will transform this solid into a liquid. And then as the liquid heats up, it becomes steam, which is a gas. And voila, there you have it. Kitchen science experiments. A solid to a liquid to a gas. Until next time, this is Chef Pierre saying, au revoir. It is very nice.
And now the news.
This is a Camp WALABEAR special edition of Action News 10.
Good morning, happy campers. I'm Amy Greer with this Camp WALABEAR news update. It wasn't a bird or a plane, but actually a blimp that set sail over the skies of Mobile this week. It is part plane, part boat, part hot air balloon. The Fuji blimp took photographer Russ Bradley and me along for a ride, about 60 miles an hour, 1,000 feet in the air. Mobile never looked better, from downtown to the battleship to Ladd Stadium, where the Senior Bowl will be played today. The blimp is full of helium, which keeps it flying since the gas is lighter than air. The helium makes the balloon rise, and the engines help the whole thing move forward. Our pilot pulled a few levers to control the level of helium, so we wouldn't sail up too high in the sky. The French first invented the blimp more than 200 years ago, making it one of the oldest forms of travel. Well, the blimp is in town to help celebrate the Senior Bowl. You likely know the Senior Bowl brings the best football players in the country to the port city for a big game every year. All the NFL coaches then come to watch the college players, hoping they'll someday play for them in the NFL. Yesterday, folks all over Mobile got to meet those players at a special Meet the Players get-together. Linebackers, quarterbacks, wide receivers all handed out special football cards, kind of like baseball cards. Folks also brought cans of food to help the needy. That's Camp WALABEAR news for today. Remember to study hard, eat your vegetables, and mind your parents. I'm Amy Greer. Have a good weekend.
Hey, Kimberly.
What?
Do you know what the Pink Panther said to the dead ant?
I don't know. What did it say?
Dead ant.
We had a beaker full of fun today learning all about science, didn't we? And you know what? It's time for Camp WALABEAR mail call. And you know what that means. If we read your letter on the air or use one of your knock-knock jokes or riddles, we'll send you one of these way swell official Camp WALABEAR t-shirts. Let's see what we have here. Carl Pope from Irvington, Alabama writes, Dear Camp WALABEAR, please send me a free t-shirt. I sure would appreciate it a lot. From Carl Pope. Carl, your wish is our command. Let's see, Nicole Lowe writes in here at camp. And since Nicole is only 4, her mother helped her out a little bit with the letter. They write, My daughter Nicole asked me to write y'all. She really likes WALABEAR. Nicole is only 4, and she wants to be on your show, and she'd like a t-shirt. I told her it might not be possible, but it does not hurt to ask. Last Saturday was her first time watching. If y'all can please write her back. Thanks, Nicole Lowe. No, Nicole, it doesn't hurt asking. And since you did, we'll see what we can do. And why don't we end up with our favorite camp song?
Everyone ready? A 1, 2, 3, 4. What's the greatest camp around?
Camp WALABEAR.
Where everyone smiles and no one frowns.
Let's WALABEAR.
What do we do there?
What do we see?
Well, I'll see you and you'll see me, and we'll play so happily in Camp WALABEAR. Second verse. What's the greatest place to be?
Camp WALABEAR.
There are places to go and people to see.
Let's WALABEAR.
What do we do there?
What do we see?
Well, I'll see you and you'll see me, and we'll sing so happily in Camp WALABEAR. First verse again. What's the greatest camp around?
Camp WALABEAR.
Where everyone smiles and no one frowns.
Let's WALABEAR.
What do we do there?
What do we see?
Well, I'll see you and you'll see me, and we'll play so happily in Camp WALABEAR. Second verse. What's the greatest place to be?
Camp WALABEAR.
There are places to go and people to see.
Let's WALABEAR.
What do we do there?
What do we see?
Well, I'll see you and you'll see me, and we'll play so happily in Camp WALABEAR. One more time. Camp WALABEAR. One more time. Camp WALABEAR. See ya!
Happy campers, don't forget to write us here at Camp WALABEAR, P.O. Box 1548, Mobile, Alabama 36633. If we read your letter on the air or use one of your knock-knock jokes or riddles, you'll get a Waste Well Camp WALABEAR t-shirt.